Kenya has stopped its trade deal with the Eastern African country Uganda, namely with the item sugar. It has blocked the government of Kenya, directly blocked the import of Kenya, the import of sugar from Uganda. Hello, I am Mahlet Ayele, your host at Connect Africa, bringing you the latest from the continent. Now, it has been a while since we met, but we have to ride to really make this as much as possible to bring you news from the continent. Now, without further ado, so Kenya has stopped this trade deal or import of sugar from Uganda as a result of its trade deal with the European Union. But the reason that the Kenyan government gave why it has stopped this import of sugar from Uganda is something else. According to the government of Kenya, it says the government of Kenya has directed a stoppage of sugar imports from the Eastern African region and beyond, saying that, in quotation, there is adequate production of sugar in the country. Now, I'll tell you why I said it has given up. I mean, this is a result of its trade deal with the European Union, which is known as the Economic Partnership Agreements, or EPA, that the government has signed, in 2023 and has become into force in April this year. Now, let me just go ahead and read the news for you. Look, the government of Kenya has directed a stoppage of sugar imports from the East African region and beyond, saying there is adequate production of sugar in the country. Now, the move has caught Ugandan sugar producers by surprise, considering that the EAC, or the Eastern African Community, is a common market where protectionism is illegal. I mean, there is a pact also this Eastern African Community have signed, which Kenya is a member, and that actually it's against that rules and regulation or terms and conditions that are there, because there is a free movement of goods and services amongst this region who have signed this, who are part of the Eastern African community. Okay, now this is in quotation, it says, when you have a surplus production of a commodity under the Eastern African Community Common Market, you bring it to the market and compete with other producers on costs of labor and produces and prices. Now, this is a source person who said, who wanted to remain in anonymity. This is a news from the shimpreports.com. Now, the source also added, in quotation, you just don't wake up and block imports, because that is illegal under the Eastern African Community Common Market Protocol. However, Kenya's Agriculture Ministry Principal Secretary, whose name is Kiprono Rono, said on August 13 that the Director General Agriculture and Food Authority to block sugar imports into Kenya. Why? So according to the Kenya's government, this is what they said, in quotation, following the ongoing reforms in the sugar industry, indications are that there is adequate production of sugar in the country. Well, really, Kenya is not importing any sugar from a non-African country, namely from Europe. We will get into that in a minute. Now, look, he continues, and this is what he said from the Kenyan government Ministry of Revenue Authority, whatever it is called now. For instance, he explains, in both the months of June and July 2024, there has been a significant improvement of local sugar production in a record high of a monthly average 75,500 280,000 metric tons sugar production, respectively, exceeding the local consumption, which is 4,000 metric ton of sugar. Now, he also said further, the ongoing revival of all the mills will further accelerate growth of the industry and lift the economies of communities farming sugarcane. I wish really it's the real reason is that to protect your own farmers. Now, in order to sustain this trajectory, so he explains, why they are banning this, because there is, enough sugar production. But the thing is, it's far from that. Okay, now the Uganda's sugar production, the Uganda's Manufacturers Association recently urged the government of Kenya to consider retaliation the government of Uganda, their own government, to consider retaliation mechanisms against the government of Kenya for what they termed as ill treatment of Uganda and severe injury to investment. Now, this is not the first time, actually. Okay, the government of Kenya is banning import of sugar totally from the Eastern African community, but particularly this tension between Uganda and Kenya has been going on. For example, Kenya previously, as soon as they have signed that the economic partnership deal with European Union, they have banned the import of chicken and egg and dairy products as well. And actually the government, William Ruto, has to travel to Uganda, and President Museveni has raised this, and he said they will resolve that. And actually after their meeting, the trade was again, the ban was lifted. Now they come again, not only Uganda, they're doing something that affects the whole Eastern African community and themselves, by the way. And they're doing it, the government of Kenya is doing this illegally because what they have signed in the Eastern African community do not allow them to exercise. So now, following the persistent ban on Ugandan exports to Kenya, traders called for retaliation, saying the diplomatic way had failed. So what do they want? I mean, which way that Uganda has to go? Now, Kenya has previously restricted the entry of Ugandan goods, as I told you, such as sugar, poultry products, dairy products, and maize to its market. Now, Uganda is one of the major exporters of maize to Kenyan market. President Museveni has insisted on dialogue as mechanism of resolving trade disputes. It's true, because that's what Museveni raised when Ruto was in Uganda. But again, it seems that they are continuing with this. I mean, this is basically giving up a continent for another. I mean, what can I say? I mean, EU cannot be compared with the African continent, considering its capacity and and potential and everything, meaning the market is big here in Africa, not really with the European Union. And when the European Union make you sign or comes and signs this trade deal as part of EPA, which is the Economic Partnership Agreement with African countries, unilaterally then or individually, it's really to protect their own farmers, their own market, not really thinking of for the good of African country. I mean, this is what happens when you sign a deal with IMF and World Bank. These are all the things that are undercover that we don't see. There are terms and conditions that they deal directly with the bank, with the government. They force you to change policies. So what? I mean, let alone the European Union is even, its population is even less than the total population of the Eastern African community. It's around 448 million or 450 million. In East African alone, countries, I'm not even saying the greater Eastern African country, but Eastern African community has totally like 500 million people. And you are giving up a continent just for this. And this is also not only against the Eastern African community thing, it's also against the African continental free trade area, which is, first and foremost, the Kenyan government has to encourage intra the intra Africa trade between, amongst African countries. Now I want to show you something. This is why I say the Kenyan government is not saying the truth. I'm gonna read this to you. Okay, look, this is what it says. This was actually published recently. European Union exports of sugar and sugar confectionery to Kenya. Here is what it says. European Union exports of sugar and sugar confectionery to Kenya was US dollar 2.83 million during 2022. Now, according to the United Nations Comtrade database on international trade, European Union exports of sugar and sugar confectionery to Kenya data historical chart and statistics was last updated, look, on August of 2024. So Kenya is really importing sugar from the European Union and is not really telling the truth, saying that it's because they have surplus or adequate production in the country. And yeah, this is again, once again, the Kenyan government led by William Ruto is disappointing Africans by not walking the talk, and even leave alone the talk, also thinks that they are already abided by rules and regulations in which, such as like the Eastern African community. So let us know anyway from in the comment section. What do you think of this stoppage or ban by the Kenyan government, goods that are coming from the Eastern African community? So a quick shout out. Hello all. I have not been here for a while, maybe, I don't know, more than a week. Greetings on Orion S. William Ruto doesn't get, we gave him a job, he's not. Okay, phonics. Osie, hi Osie. Kenya has more to gain in the medium and long term if they stick. That's, I mean, all African countries for that matter. This is not really, it's not only Uganda now trade association, also other trade association in their own respective countries now will come and report this to their government, like Tanzania or Rwanda or whatever, any Eastern African community member, and then that will be a serious one and really embarrassing. The government of Kenya has to take an action to really rectify this. I will see you again on the next one. And for now, it's a bye-bye for me. Ciao, ciao.